The fan base for the STARZ series Outlander is massive. It's insane how big this audience is, and they are engaged. I mean, I read some fan fiction that is interesting. These fans love this show. They love it so much that STARZ gave them a prequel, Blood of My Blood. So like this show's not really ending ever, even though the original Outlander is coming to an end. And that is causing fans to be upset because they love these characters so much. And that is exactly what I'm talking about today with my guest, Caitriona Balfe. Now, Caitriona is fantastic. And we talked about how engaged this fan base is, what it's like for her sort of ending this series that really started her career. I mean, she said this was her career for a long time, was just doing this series. And she's able to grow not only as an actor, but also as a producer, and now even as a director. She's directing some episodes of Outlander. So like Caitriona really opened up about the full experience during our chat, and how she loves how devoted the fans are to this show, and how she's sort of obsessive about the character and where it goes, and she's invested in the character story. So we had a fantastic chat. I really think you're going to enjoy it, especially if you're one of the millions of people online talking about Outlander. It is insane how many people love this show. I mean, I enjoy the show, but I did not know that the audience was as big as it is. So sit back and grab a snack, because I will be right back with Caitriona Balfe. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I can't tell you, when I told people that I was doing this interview, how many people freaked out about Outlander. I mean, I know of the show. Obviously, I've watched the show. I'm a fan of the show. But for some reason, maybe I was out of touch with like how massive this fan base is. Because as soon as I started talking about it, it was crazy. Yes.
Yeah. You know what? It's really, I guess also because we've been, been around for a while.
Yeah. A little over 10 years, right?
Yeah. I mean, we first aired in 2014.
Yeah.
And I think also because the show has also gone into syndication, and it's, people are finding it still. And it's amazing. Like, it does always kind of blow me away how many people watch it. Yeah. And the kind of breadth of people who watch it. It's like it sort of traverses all kind of age groups, and, it's men and women, and it's like younger people now a lot. Like, I think it was sort of a slightly older demographic in the beginning, but it's great.
It's like, and how active they are on social media, and like some of the fan fiction, and like, I mean, like I really discovered some things that I didn't know. I mean, maybe I'm not that.
I mean, we've all learned a few things from Outlander,
But they get really invested, especially in your the two leads.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, and it created spin-offs.
Yeah, they've got the prequel now. I think it's just this beautiful love story, and I think that is just such a positive and hopeful thing to invest in, and I think people need that, and so it has been really amazing to be part of something that has meant a lot to people. I think that's a really special thing.
Well, so how does this, because we are entering the final season, how does this end of a chapter sort of feel for you, because this is a massive part of really your career?
I mean, it was all my career for a long time. It's such a mixed bag of emotions. I think there's obviously a lot of pride, and I feel so proud to have been part of something like this. It is sad. Any ending is sad, but I think it's also doing something for a decade or plus. I mean, when we finished the show, Sam and I were both like, wow, this has been a quarter of our lives.
Yeah.
Which is an insane amount of time to be playing one character and being involved in one show. So it also felt like, okay, as an actor and as a person, I'm sort of ready for new challenges, and that's exciting and scary. But to have had the education that I've had on the show, to have had the experiences I've had, to have formed the relationships I've had, I just feel so grateful for that.
Yeah. How, without giving anything away, how do you feel like the story, your character's story, comes full circle in the end? Like, do you feel like it's a satisfying ending for her?
I mean, it's hard to know, right? Because, what is a satisfying ending? You don't want your character to end, Yeah. I feel like Claire found peace, right? In some ways. Well, no, actually, there's never peace on Outlander. There's always like drama. But I feel like in terms of like the overall thing, she's with her family. And I think that felt very appropriate, and that this season especially, there's a lot of sort of people coming back together, and that was really beautiful. But it's I lived with her in the show. She traverses from the age of like 27, 28, I think in the beginning. That's how old she was, and by the time we finish, she's supposed to be in her 60s.
Yeah.
So that's like it's a life, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that you just have to be, I don't know, like there's no kind of like proper ending. It is all part of itself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. And also, too, I mean, with a show this big, with the fan base that's writing fan fiction and like doing the things that they do, that must be a lot of pressure going in for creatives, but also for the actors involved. Like going into a final season to give that final season what they expect or what hope the fans want. Like, was there pressure there?
I think we felt a lot of. I think Sam and I especially felt a lot of responsibility to sort of like end this show in a really strong way. It's funny because I think it's the season that we knew the least about.
Yeah.
Because I think the writers were they didn't want to kind of like give any spoilers, so we never knew at any point what was going to happen until we got the scripts. And that was sort of new, because I think in previous seasons we'd always sort of get an overview, and so it was really interesting, because I think it was like exciting in a way, because we're like, okay, well, we've no idea where this is going, and in a way that's probably like the best thing, because I think we sort of, I think otherwise we probably would have been trying to steer it one way or another or something. But it was also, as a control freak that I am, it was hard to sort of give up that control a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, I mean, there's no way, I think, to end anything in a perfect way.
No.
I think you just have to let it be and like go with it and enjoy the ride. And so we tried to do that.
Well, like, I mean, from the beginning of the series and over the course as it became more popular, both you and Sam had more involvement, really. I mean, you became a producer on the show. And that I think is only fair, because you're so wedded to these characters that, of course, you want to have a stake in maybe even the discussion of where this character is going, how she ends up. Was that a part? Was like from a producing standpoint, how much involvement did you have?
Well, this season was interesting because I got to direct as well. So in the very beginning, I felt that I was sort of part of so many conversations, and it was really interesting. Like, I was there from the very first day of prep. So I started prep about 5-6 weeks before we started shooting. And so I got to be involved in conversations about like builds and things like that. So the new house that was built and all of that. And it was amazing, because as an actor, I could bring something to the table, and as a producer that sort of maybe other people didn't. So, had conversations with our set designer being like, well, as an actor, we sort of need places like this or this to be able to kind of like do stuff. And sort of that affected how the build went. And that was amazing. But it was really funny, because then after I directed my episode, which was episode 2, I sort of had to go back to like not knowing. And I was like, hold on, I'm not part of these conversations, because you're just like, and other people are in those rooms instead. So personally, that was hard, because as I said, I am a control freak. But yeah, it was interesting not sort of knowing where your character was going to go, especially as the last season. I was constantly like, what's happening? What's happening? What's going to happen? And they'd be like, we can't tell you. We can't tell you. And I was like,
wild.
It did drive me nuts.
But it probably made the performance.
Well, that's the thing. You have to sort of then take every moment as it comes to you. And there was something great in that too. But yeah, I'm a control freak.
Well, okay, so speaking of control freak, like directing, and I mean, what I think is so
amazing about a show that is on for a long time, any show. I mean, I'm thinking even like sitcoms, like Friends or whatnot. You see the performers on the show become full-fledged creative forces in their own sort of way. And you, of course, are a great example of that over the course of this series with not even just, producing, but then, of course, going into directing, but also the start of even more higher value film work and things you're doing in film spaces. And so, like, on the directing front, why was it important for you to direct more? And do you want to be doing more of that in the future?
Yeah, I would love to. I think just being on set all the time and watching how things get, the decisions that get made, and like watching other people direct and watching people who I was like, oh, I really love how you're doing this. And then watching some other people and you're like, if I were doing that, I would do it differently. And I just thought, I am always aware as an actor of my limited ability within storytelling in the terms of, as Caitriona, who I am, the age I am, the way I look, all of these things, there are only a certain sort of avenues for me to tell stories in a way. And you become sort of limited that in your casting. It's like, well, you're this age group, so you're going to get roles that are in this age group, or you're female, so you're going to get roles that are this.
Yeah.
And I love storytelling, and I love telling different stories. And so I just wanted to expand my ability to do that. And also, I just found it so interesting how, as an actor doing one character, you sort of become so micro-focused on that role and what that character's role and journey is. But as a director, you get to sort of be over everything, and you see sort of the bigger picture. And I don't know, that part I found really interesting, and I just loved it. Like when I got to do it, there was so many new things and exciting things that I didn't really understand went into it, like all of the prep stuff and how that sort of you take a script from that first day and how you start building your visual language, building your sort of like thematic language throughout the whole thing. Like all of that was so interesting. And then just getting to work with all of the different like departments, like it's so exciting, and you get to see the amazing talent that comes together to make an entire project,
Yeah.
So I had like the best time, and it was really hard then to go back and just be like, all right, I'm just going to stay in my lane.
Well, especially for a control freak.
Yes, I'm not going to tell people what to do.
Well, I mean, but you've also worked both on Outlander and outside of Outlander in films with great directors. So, like, was there any influence that you had in terms of your directing style that you look back on with other directors?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think, you're a magpie, constantly stealing from people and just, inspired by people. I've been so lucky, I've worked with Jodie Foster as a director, Jim Mangold as a director, who's like amazing. I mean, I think Jim, he's so jovial, and like, Jim is never afraid to sort of give anybody a direct note. And I think that's the one thing, like the directors that I've loved working with, like Kenneth Branagh, it's the specificity of direction. It's like, I think the worst thing any director can do is try and like, tentatively walk around an actor and sort of be afraid to tell them. No, it's like we all like direct notes, and and they obviously given with kindness and an understanding of like the vulnerability of the process. But, I've been so lucky with the people that I've been able to, and also all of the directors I've worked with, how generous they have been once they know that I'm, sort of interested in directing, with their kind of advice and, showing you, and also, cameramen and women and all the people in those departments, like they're always willing to share information. Like they all want to give that. They want to impart all their knowledge. So I've just been so lucky to have like worked with great people.
I recently interviewed James L. Brooks for his new film, and I was just talking about the directing style and what he loves about directing, particularly some of the women he's directed over the years. And one of the things that he said that stands out to me from what you're saying is that a great director is just obsessed with actors and is just in love with what an actor can do with whatever they put on, whatever they take from what they're giving, or the director's giving, or the writer's giving, or in his case, writer-director. And for an actor then to go into directing, I've talked with recently with Tyler James Williams from Abbott Elementary about he's directing episodes now too, and that experience of directing your colleagues, your fellow actors, it actually, from what he tells me, it's heightened because you have this years relationship with this person that it's a secondhand language that you have with maybe Sam and directing him or whatever it might be. Did you experience that?
Oh my God, I was so scared. So I think my first day, I had this 7-page scene with Sam and Richard. And I was like, oh my God, they're really throwing me in at the deep end. But I was so unprepared for the fact that I would stand behind the monitor and I would have this Cheshire cat grin on my face because I was just enjoying watching them. And because I do know them so well, I'm like, oh, I can see what Sam's doing in this moment and I can see what he's going for. And I think I know how I can help him just that one little bit, either amplify it or put it down because in the whole piece. And it was beautiful. Yeah. And you also, because you're never watching your co-star or your scene partner as a audience member when you're in a scene with them. You're obviously always, you're never watching them. You're affecting each other and you're with them. So then to be able to watch them, and I was like, oh my God, I get it.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't, but you're watching in a different way and you're like, wow. And with Richard, and it was just all of them. I loved sort of that relationship to go in and sort of just help all of them get to where I could see they want to go.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's staying out of their way. But, it's if ever there's a moment where you can see somebody needs a little adjustment, then to be able to do that was so amazing.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. I mean, also with Claire, just the evolution of the character over the years and sort of how, what were you first attracted to when you first received the script, and how then from that moment do you feel would you have the same reaction to her now as have you seen the evolution of her?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know, because when I was given the script, I was a struggling actor in LA. I was just trying to get any job, and I remember getting the first audition and I'd put it on tape and then never heard anything. And then I met with an agent in London. He was like, there's a role and I think you'd be really good for it. And he was explaining it and I was like, oh no, I think I've already taped for that. And he was like, send me the tape. And so I sent him and he was like, because I had only gotten 2 lines of an explanation or whatever at the time. And he was like, oh no, this is a much deeper breakdown of who the character is. I think you should retape it. And I did, and I sent it in, and that was when they were like, oh, we want to test you. And so I had 4 days, and I read the book in 4 days, which is, these books are not...
They're thick.
They're pretty thick.
Yeah.
So I remember, this was LA, so it was nice. I could lie out in the sun and just... But from the book, because I didn't have a script, I only had 2 scenes or whatever. Yeah. From the book, I was just like, oh my God, this woman's amazing. This world is amazing. This would be the most insane adventure. And then I tested for that. But I don't know that I think the Caitriona that sort of met Claire, it was perfect synchronicity, because I think where I was at in my life, I could relate to sort of that idea of being thrown into something, because I was so green.
Yeah.
And had I been a more experienced actor, maybe I wouldn't have sort of understood that kind of, lack of knowledge of anything in the same way that Claire was experiencing when she went back in time first.
Yeah.
There was a synchronicity there, which really worked.
Well, also on paper, even just the IMDb description of the show, I'm always kind of enjoy it, because when you read it, it sounds kind of bonkers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds, but then when you watch it, it makes...
explain it in the beginning, and people were like, what?
But how did you, I mean, because when you watch it, you see how epic it is and how grand it is and how big it is, and the story is just so intimate almost.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a poignancy to it, but yet in the description, you're kind of like, wait, what? What does she do? Like,
I mean, it's. I think that was also, you know, you talk about synchronicity and meeting things in life at the right time. Like, I just had my heart broken, and I remember then when we started filming, and it was like all of this grief that I had to play and heartbreak and everything, and I was like, oh my God, this is all just like my life, you know.
Yeah.
And then sort of the falling in love was sort of like, oh, I was like finding myself and falling in love with a career, and you know what I mean. Like I was, it was all sort of perfectly in sync for where I was at that
Yeah.
time. And like that first season, it's such a beautiful, like that story where Diana got it and came, like whatever channel she was like come, you know, like downloading from wherever.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful, yeah, it's a beautiful, inspirational and hopeful story, you know, also violent and crazy.
Of
and
course.
like,
Yeah.
But it's sort of, the two together really work. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And to have it to look, I mean, to have what, those now, I guess, 12 years to look back on.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be special in a way to see sort of your career quite literally grow over the seasons, and who you are as an actor and where you've gone. It's so impressive to watch.
I mean, look, that show has given me so much. It has opened so many doors for me, but it gave me the most incredible education, or it sort of allowed me to explore so many different facets of humanity and you know, human emotion and all of these things, and yet there's also action, and there's and there's bits of comedy and all of these things. Like it sort of encompasses so much, and I learned so much on that show, and I grew so much as a person, as an actor, and it, yeah, you know, it will always forever be a huge life defining
Yeah.
part of me and my story. Yeah.
Well, and I also love, I mean, speaking of your film work, like, you really, it did open, I think it, even though, yes, it defines you as an actor, it also sort of allowed you to do roles that I think are really special and different and kind of new. I mean, just the list of films you've done over the course of while being on Outlander is so unique in the span of sort of the stories that are being told, and from The Amateur to, I mean, to well, of course, Belfast, but then, you know, so many. Like, how do you feel like the show and playing Claire changed the type of roles you're offered or that you're able to pursue?
I mean, first of all, it allowed me to be offered anything.
Yeah.
You know, I think especially in the beginning, you know, I was a struggling actor in LA. I had done some very, very small roles prior to Outlander, and all of a sudden, you know, you're getting put up for things that you would never normally be sort of in the conversation for. And it gives you a confidence, you know, it gives you a confidence to walk into a room because you have thousands of hours of work behind you all of a sudden, and you have that comfort of being able to just perform with, I think that's the thing, regular work gives you confidence, and confidence is like key to being an actor. But I've been so lucky. I mean, it doesn't feel like I did that much because we had such a long schedule, but I think the great thing that I had was also the ability to wait and wait for a good role and wait for things that really spoke to me.
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know, I've tried to just choose things that I really was invested in.
Well, and one of them that was so special to me was Belfast. I mean, it was the level of anger that I had when you weren't nominated for an Oscar for the film, and yet, like, it just, I mean, the film received so much love, and obviously it did win the Oscar, and it, like, was so internationally recognized for how special it was. What was that experience like for you, and how, to me, looking at that and looking at your sort of your career sort of as a whole, Outlander obviously was a massive, massive imprint, but I feel like Belfast is sort of almost a peek into the future of the caliber of work that you're going to go on to do.
Gosh, I hope. That was the most beautiful experience. Like, Kenneth is just the most, he's a genius, and he is, you know, a legend and a titan of our industry, but he's also like just the loveliest, most humble, just gorgeous human. And he was telling a very personal story, and it was sandwiched between 2 lockdowns. So the world was crazy, and, you know, this was pre-vaccination, so everybody was just slightly scared, and we got to go to this little tiny place in Berkshire and play on the most beautiful story with Judi Dench, who is just the legend of all legends, and Kieran and Jamie and everybody else who's, and Jude, my little Jude, and, you know, and we just had the most amazing, like 7 weeks in this heat wave of a summer. And so it felt magical. It really felt magical. And then you don't know, like, whatever is going to happen. Like, you don't know how anything's going to be received. And, you know, the way everyone sort of was looking at it, Ken was sort of like, oh, it's just this little story. It's this, you know, and it's sort of his passion project. And we never knew what it would do. And then I had my son, and literally 4 weeks after he was born, they were like, do you think you could go to Telluride? And I was like, no. And then at Telluride, it obviously got really well received. And then this, you know, machine sort of starts rolling. And I had this tiny little infant. And so the whole thing is just like a bonkers blur, because I was like, I was in like, you'd be at events, and then I'd be in, you know, these fans and pumping and running to hotel rooms. And like, it was just, but it was so fun because we had the best time, and I was with my friends, and we got to go to LA, and we got to go to the Oscars, and it was just amazing. Like, and I'm so proud to have been a part of it, and I felt just so grateful, and I'm so proud that Ken got his Oscar, and you know, it just was very, very special.
And just such a nice thing to happen over the course of Outlander.
Oh,
and now
God,
with, I mean, to be able to look back now, and this is my last question, but to be able to, you know, with the final season, there's going to be a lot of sort of, just like I'm doing now, looking back at your career and how this thing changed you, and the films that you did and the projects that you did outside of it, and just how all defining it is. What do you do next? How do you decide what to do next? That would be a lot of pressure for me.
No, I think like, this last year has been, I took 6 months off after we wrapped. I wanted to spend time with my family. I wanted to just enjoy my life a little bit and like decompress, because I think coming off the show, it was such an emotional season, just because every time you're like, this is we're doing the last season. It's hard not to sort of have that intense energy for a long time. And so I needed to like decompress. And then I've just been so fortunate that my reasons for choosing projects is still always the same. I want to work on great material with good people, and it just has to speak to me. So I've done these lovely little bits in projects. Sometimes it's a very small role, sometimes it's a bigger role. That part doesn't bother me. I just want to work with interesting artists and on great scripts, and I've had the best year, and I think if I let my curiosity lead me, then I can't really go wrong, because then I'm having fun. Right?
I mean, that's what, I spoke with Paul Giamatti yesterday, and I was talking to him about that, about the pursuit of sort of the journeyman actor, of it doesn't matter the size of the role. If there's something great in that small role, then you just have to do it.
Or the project, like for me, I got to be a small part of this incredible film that's going to come out next year called Tenzing, and I'm probably in 5 or 6 scenes, but I got to go to Nepal, work with incredible actors, this brilliant director, Jennifer Peedham, also on a project that is reframing the narrative, this historical narrative about Tenzing Norgay and his achievements in climbing Everest, because he was always just regarded as a footnote in Edmund Hillary's story. And all of a sudden they're like making this a beautiful film that gives him the kind of recognition and that he deserves. And it's like using all these amazing Nepali Tibetan actors, and it's like the most gorgeous project. And I honestly, it was like a gift from, I just was like, wow, I'm so grateful. And I have such a small role, but it was the most fun.
Yeah.
And that to me is like why I'm in this business, you know. And then, I'm in other stuff where it's like bigger roles, but it's when you feel that excitement about something, and it's like, oh, well, then I have to do it. You know? So
yeah, exactly. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The last
This
season
has
is
been so
fantastic.
lovely.
I mean, from what I've seen, and it's really exciting. People are going to write more fan fiction.
Don't stop. Just keep writing the fan fiction. It's great.
I mean, do yourself a favor and do a Google search of Outlander, and you will see a fan base that is devoted. I mean, it is wild. Thanks so much for checking out today's episode. I really do appreciate it. You can leave a little rating and review wherever you're listening to this or watching this. You can also follow me at H. Allen Scott on everything. In the meantime, watch something fun today and have a good one.